Going from 400 crores to 1200 crores in 3 years, that's a serious jump. And when an infrastructure business scales that fast, the challenge isn't winning more projects. It isn't about making bigger bets. It's whether your leadership team can carry the weight of that growth. Because at this stage, senior hiring stops being a support function. It becomes a strategic call. One wrong leader can slow your decisions, send you in the wrong direction, knowingly or unknowingly sabotage your entire company vision. I recently sat down with Raghav Gupta, Managing Director of Jackson Infrastructure, to understand what growth at this space really demands from a founder, what it tests inside the organization, and how to think about building the team for what's coming next. Here's our conversation. Thank you, Raghav, for taking the time to speak to us, and welcome. Raghav, it's close to 10 years since you joined the business. I'd like to start with setting a bit of a context. Share with us a bit about that journey and then also the current state of the business.
Arvind, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, sitting in front of you, being on this side of the table. What I can tell you is that 10 years feels like one long day. I started my journey in 2016 in a company called Cummins India Limited. I started with an internship rotational program, which was curated by then MD, Ms. Anand Talalekar. And for me, it was like a new chef who just got entry into Gordon Ramsay's kitchen.
Wow.
And I got to learn from the best. I got to learn the trick of the trade. I moved across many segments. I went from manufacturing to R&D to supply chain to IT to warehousing. And through it all, I really understood what systems really do for scale, how systems go beyond just PowerPoint. And I understood digitization is not just a buzzword, but it is a framework. I realized that conglomerates are not made in boardrooms, they're made outside on the ground in reality. And I started my journey in Jackson in 2017. And there also, my journey started from the trenches, not from a corner office like this one. I started working in the manufacturing facility where I worked tirelessly to reduce the manufacturing lead time. From there, I went on to a little bit bigger project, installing solar rooftop projects, which were ranging from 10 to 15 crores. From there, I went on to doing utility scale solar projects, which then further grew to 100 to 200 crores. And then eventually I got myself entangled with conventional infrastructure, which what we are doing today. And today Jackson Infra spans across power transmission, distribution, water distribution. We build civil infrastructure. We do metro electrification. Now we have expanded our geographies in Africa, both in Rwanda and Angola. So quite a bit of a distance that we have covered.
The entire EPC spectrum now.
The entire EPC spectrum we are covering, and
Wonderful.
quite a bit of a distance that we have covered so far.
Wonderful. That's an amazing journey. Thank you for that background, Raghav. Let's dive a little bit deeper into your personal leadership journey. Tell me, how does it feel to be a fourth generation entrepreneur?
So, Arvind, it's a strange pleasure to be a fourth generation entrepreneur. My great grandfather started this business just coming out of refuge from Lahore. And then my grandfather took over the reins, then my father, and now me. What I can say, a lot of people see legacy as a platform. I see it as a responsibility. And legacy is not something that grows by sitting on it. It gets larger by the work that you do, by the diligence that you show on a day-to-day basis. So for me, it's both a burden and a pleasure. A pleasure because I have a foundation to work on, something to build, not from scratch, but a monument that is already half made. And a burden because we can't take it lightly. There are lifetimes, four generations.
Responsibility that comes along with it.
Absolutely. And knowing that it's your own family who has put in the to make it happen, it just ups the ante that much more. So to sum it up, it's a wonderful feeling, but a bigger responsibility.
So you've taken the business from 400 crores to 1200 crores in about 3 years. Tell me, what has changed for you as a leader during this phase?
So Arvind, you're right. We have gone from 400 to 1200 3 years. But if you really ask me, we have just scratched the surface. We are still the new kid around the block. and the block is where only big boys play. Like I was just telling you last week, we were bidding a TBCV bid where the likes of Adani, Sterlite, PGCIL, and Aparva were against us. And that bid went on for 16 hours.
Yes, I remember.
And we were up till 2:30 in the morning giving the L1 player a run for their money.
Wow.
Right. So what that made me realize that while we have made noise, but still a lot more needs to be done and can be done. Right. So, if you really ask me what has changed for me the most and what has been my biggest leverage, and a lot of people will say this, a lot of successful will say this, that dream bigger, right? Now, what does that really entail? That entails that not only you dream big, but you take bigger risks. And I credit my father for that. He not only taught me, but demonstrated in a lot of ways that dreams only come true when a sane person takes a lot of insane decisions. So that's one big change. And the second thing I realize is leadership is not about prediction, it is about conviction. Good leaders take the right decision, but great leaders take the decision and then make it right. Yeah, it's very impossible to predict what is right in the variable environment that we operate in on a daily basis. But what we can do is put our full weight behind that decision, give people resources, urgency, accountability, so that the reality around you works to make that decision right. So if you ask me, these two things really pushed me forward and helped me tackle those issues that I was just hitting a brick wall at.
I'm sure more than tackle 3x in 3 years is not no small mean achievement, but
Thank
wonderful.
you very much.
Let's talk a bit about challenges, Raghav. Tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced so far in your leadership journey, and how did you overcome them?
So, Arvind, let me start by telling you one of the earliest challenges that I faced when I made my first corporate sale. This was a rooftop project sale to Cummins only for that matter. And with all the rooftop solar, and with all the optimism of youth and danger of inexperience, we lowballed the competition. I remember putting in the offer at 10 p.m. at night and being anxious and thrilled at the same time. I had never experienced those two things together before that. And no wonder we got the contract, and we delivered the project. We delivered the project. And the way we did it is the day the LOA come, 85% of supply we secured. We placed the orders for it. Remaining 10 to 15% of services, I went personally site to site and made sure that everything is lined and we actually deliver the promises that we have made. And that's the only way you win the client's confidence and their trust. So that experience really told me that execution is not a department, it is a temperament. You have to be on it 24/7, 365 a day, 365 days a week. You are not done till the time the last invoice is raised, the last bolt is tightened, and the client officially says that you have done a good job. So that was the start of me facing challenges. But in the process, over the years, I have faced so many. But the two biggest one that come to my mind, the first would be having the right people. Now that sounds very simple, and I'm a big advocate of Jim Collins. In his book Good to Great, he says it's very important. Greatness starts with having the right people in the right place at the right time, right? And unfortunately, people don't come with labels. In interviews, you can gauge competency, but you cannot gauge their hunger, their integrity, their resilience, and most importantly, their ownership. While doing background checks, you can check their past history, but you cannot check their character. So every time you onboard a person, it's an informed call, but it's a call that you as a leader have to make successful. You have to make sure that the person is accountable, is resourced, is aware, is exposed to the environment that you want him to operate in and succeed in. So I feel that every time a person is onboarded, either they will grow into that seat or the seat will expose the real person that they are. Either ways, it's a time taking process. It comes with a lot of obstacles, and every company has to go through it, just like I did. And the second one I will say is people glorify success too much. I believe growth is all about finding success in constant failures. And the way I would tell you about this is 3 years ago, when I started this journey as a substantial leader in the group, um, I let go of my CEO, who worked for my father for almost over a decade at that amount of time. And the project head at that time stepped in as interim CEO, and he knew very little about how to run a company. I knew nothing at all. A very dangerous combination. But that combination also meant that we were open to making mistakes. Did not need to pretend that we knew everything. We were happy to learn from each other and the environment that we were in. And I started that year with an open order book of 200 crores. I remember still. We bid almost 5,000 crores of orders that year,
Wow.
and won not more than 100, 200. And it was absolutely frustrating. I was racking my head along with my team. What is going wrong? We've figured some things out. The next year we booked 1,500 crores of orders. And what really changed in that time was that I realized that winning orders was not about estimations or smart estimations behind the Excel sheet, or just submitting a technically qualifying bid. It was more about understanding much more deeply what the client wants. How can we create partnerships? How do we design solutions that help us deliver what we say from day one? And that's all what it is. And let me tell you, winning orders is just the start of the story. Every order is a tsunami of issues the day the LOA is signed, right? uh, it could be client, it could be approvals, it could be drawing, it could be health and safety, it could be quality. A problem can come any day. We are giving a new exam every day we come into office. So at Jackson Infra, what we have really made peace with, that we cannot avoid problems, but what really helps us grow strong and grow big is that you have to bounce back. You have to learn deeply from the issues that come. Resilience, like I said earlier. And then you have to keep true to your cause. You have to keep working to the end goal. Until the time that clarity is there, that conviction is there, you will always find small successes in constant failure.
So, at what point did you feel that you needed a stronger leadership team to support you in this growth journey?
So, Arvind, almost immediately when I joined the business, the construction business, I knew that there was a serious need for upgradation. In the first month, like I also explained to you earlier, we let go of the CEO. In the consequent 3 years, I let go almost every C-suite officer, who some of them were sitting in above me, not below me. And it was a rigorous process. Like I said, losing the senior brass of your team while you're executing orders, while you're trying to book more orders, while you're trying to create a footprint, it exposes your system to a very, very excruciating reality, right? A reality that you have to firefight every day, and a reality that you have to cope up with in the future also, not in that very moment. So it that feeling, or that realization was almost instantaneous, while the work to get it right is still going on till today.
So you mentioned about getting the right leader in place and how that makes a huge impact. Tell me, have you reflected on what is the cost of getting a senior leader hire wrong, especially at this time or this stage in your journey?
So, Arvind, hiring people at any stage which are not aligned with your company's requirement has a monumental cost, and that cost is not just salary. Wrong leaders take wrong decisions. Wrong decisions lead to losses. Losses creates distractions, and then distractions uses the company's energy in firefighting today's reality and not investing in tomorrow's growth. So it's a vicious cycle. And the only way it can be fixed is by making sure that you get the right person at the right seat at the right time. Like I said earlier, and like Jim Collins, all these preachers. Uh, the cost of wrong hiring, like I said, branches way beyond just immediate goals. Whatever you want to be in 5 years, if you don't have the team backing you up for it today and helping you build that tomorrow on a daily basis, that 5 year tomorrow is never going to come.
So, what is the cost? The cost is your future, your
Yeah,
growth,
yeah.
your reality.
Yeah,
That
so
is the
it's-
cost.
Salary cost is a very minute fraction of
Absolutely.
what the overall long-term
Absolutely.
impact can be.
Absolutely. A small fraction.
Yeah, absolutely. So Raghav, who do you look up to as a mentor or a guide when you think of who to emulate? Who comes to mind?
So, Arvind, let me say this, from the day I was born, my father has been my mentor, right? But when we talk about a guide, I don't think a guide is a singular entity. I don't think it is a single person. Anybody who is grounded in the same values, who has your trust, who has your interest in their mind can be your guide. Your colleague, your friends, a mistake, a conversation can be a guide in my view. For that matter, Arvind, you also are a guide to me in a lot of ways.
very kind of you.
And I bring that lens, I bring that view with everybody and anybody I interact with.
So while the journey continues, when you look back, what have you learned so far, and what would you share with next generation entrepreneurs on a similar trajectory?
And Arvind, what I would say to the next generation who is wanting to take this plunge is, do not romanticize ambition without being married to the grind. A lot of people want growth, but they don't want system. A lot of people want speed, but they don't want discipline. A lot of people want responsibility, but they don't want accountability. So the India that we are living in is going to get built by people who don't dream loudly, but who walk the talk. So I suggest whoever who wants to get into this should come with their mind made up to get their hands dirty and be married to the end goal.